Hey guys, Funkymusic here once again, talking today about what I've been seeing lately out of Resto Druids and why Resto Druids are not being used on Warmane and why people think they're so bad. First of all, I think a lot of people are just plain wrong when it comes to Resto Druids. And I understand, I get a lot of questions about it, and I talk to a lot of people about, playing Resto Druid, and I'm fine with always helping people out and trying to make themselves better at the game. I'm always here if you have a question. I will try to answer it to the best of my ability. But the thing with Resto Druids and why they're so despised for certain bosses or certain things, I think is just ludicrous. I think that for the most part, the server has not seen really good Resto Druids. For the most part, I just think that most Resto Druids who have been playing or they've shown and I've gone against some of the best. I'm Funky, I'm better than you, and I'm blah 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 blah. And then we go and heal at the same raid, and I just utterly fucking destroy the dude. It's not just once, twice. I've seen this for 7 fucking years. It's ridiculous. It's just nuts. So I think people have this wrong thinking when it comes to Resto Druids. Resto Druids are very, very, very strong. I think that they offer a lot to a raid. Now, there's people who would disagree with me, and even I would disagree with myself, to be honest, to a certain extent. Are they better than certain healers on Heroic Lich King? No. If I had my choice, Resto Druid would be the last class of healer that I would take for Heroic Lich King, especially on zero buff, or if you're doing your first 30% buff, Light of Dawn, Resto Druid would probably be my last choice. I'm probably going to take Holy Priest over that. Holy Priest has a lot of really good heals and options for that fight that just make it a better all-around option. So Resto Druid's probably last. But I just see so many people just shitting on Resto Druids, and I think the problem is, and no offense to anybody who plays Resto Druid, I just think that a lot of these people who are talking this haven't seen a good Resto Druid play. They don't know what they're capable of. And it's sad that there's so many people who can play. Disc is not hard to play. It's very easy to get this little thing, these meters, really, really high by casting Power Word Shield and just shielding all day long. I've seen morons who have not a clue how to play Priest, who don't do any prayer mending, they don't do anything else but just shield, and they'll top meters. That does not require any skill. It requires a different kind of skill. Same thing with shamans. I see shamans out there who just chain heal and they'll pull decent numbers, but it's they're kind of in the same boat. You shouldn't always chain heal. You shouldn't. How many times we've seen shamans chain healing tanks in the fucking basement or in the shadow realm of Ruby Sanctum? It's on the same premises. There's a lot of people who just haven't seen a good Resto Druid, and I think that's why they get such a bad rap when it comes to a lot of these guilds and when they're doing Light of Dawns and yada yada yada. If you give a good Resto Druid a chance, and Resto Druids are going to shine better when there's less healers, obviously, just like every healer would. But there's so many things like, for example, a Holy Priest can cover up a lot of the Resto Druids, what a Resto Druid can do, because they're both AoE healing classes. So they kind of mimic each other, which is going to lessen the healing down. Now, again, we've had a video about this. If you're only looking at the meters, you're looking at it wrong. You need to take your Resto Druid versus another Resto Druid, or have 2 Resto Druids in a raid, whatever, and compare them that way. You can't compare, well, this Resto Druid's not pulling the same as this healer, so he must suck. That's not the case. But I think, to that point, I also think their case can be made that you see a certain Resto Druid pulling good numbers, and you see another one in another fight pulling just shit. And that there is a difference, okay? Knowing how to play your class will mean the entire world on what the meters are going to reflect. Plus, there's RNG and blah, blah, blah. But people put too much focus on this shit right here. These goddamn meters. There's too much focus on this bullshit. Stack me up against any Resto Druid on the server, anytime, anywhere. Well, as long as I'm free. That way my son and I'm not going to college and I'm not working. I would be more than happy to do it. And we've done it, a 1,000,001 times. And I just think, again, I just think, getting back to my original point, Druids get a bad rap. They can be just as effective if they are properly spec gemmed and enchanted correctly. Again, people like to throw up the heroic Lich King stuff. I don't, and I have not. If I were to do a serious, legit 0% buff as a Resto Druid, there are many things I would change out. I would be going probably tier 9. I'd be changing out a lot of my pieces, changing out my glyphs. I'd be rolling for a lot more critical strike, rapid rejuve, tier 9, so my rejuves can crit. There's a lot of things that I would do a lot differently than what you see here. And I think a lot of people judge on Lich King meters alone. And that's not where Druids excel. They can, but it's a total, complete different swap around. And maybe I haven't shown that enough because half the time, I'll be honest, I'm lazy and I don't really, I don't really need to swap my gear, all this stuff, and blah, 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 blah. I could roll 2 Resto Druid specs. I have all the gear. I have everything that I would need. It's just a matter of running 2 Resto specs, and then I'd have to go respec Feral, and it's more of a annoyance than it is anything. I wouldn't say a hassle. It's just an annoyance of having to do that. So maybe I'm part of the problem. I haven't gone over that correctly, but I think in closing here, guys, Resto Druids are good healers when given the chance. People want to shit on them. I think a lot of that has to do with nobody knows how to play Resto Druid. Again, me and Sasha were talking today, and he saw 2 best in slot Resto Druids with legendaries. One without Revitalize and one without Living Seed. So just real quick, Revitalize, Living Seed. Guys, don't be stupid and not get Revitalize and Living Seed, okay? Living Seed is amazing. Even when you're using your Swift Mend, even if you're doing a lot of AoE healing, if you're Swift Mending, it's great. You may not be casting a lot of Regrowth or Nourish. Definitely not be casting Healing Touch, but it does so much healing. I'd have to pull up some meters last time I healed, but it does. I want to say like 3 to 6% of my healing, maybe even more depending on the fight. It's a really, really good talent to have. And just where else are you going to get that much healing from 3 other talents? And I don't see where you're going to get that much healing from 3 other talents in this tree, even in the balance tree. Again, Nature's Grace is garbage when you're in a raid. If you have the right buffs, if you have a Boomkin or if you have a Ret, they both provide the same aura for speed. And then if you have a haste totem from a Shaman, you're haste capped. So there's no reason to get Nature's Grace because the only thing it's going to do is make regrowth go down to a 0.1 or 1.1 second. So the only thing you're going to do by generating additional haste by shaving off 0.1 seconds. So would you rather shave off 0.1 seconds and then have to use this at the right time when it procs and hope to God that it actually heals before somebody else heals a target? And there's a lot of just RNG with this talent. Just super RNG with it versus something that's always going to be there 100% of the time whenever you proc, And then guys who are not using Revitalize is a must. It's one of the reasons why Resto Druids are taken to raids is because of Revitalize. It's great for a lot of stuff. Obviously, it pumps out more DPS because of the talent. It also good for Professor Putricide. Gives the A-Bomb more energy. That's why we always ask to roll hots on the A-Bomb. Revitalize is a must. Again, I don't see what you're going to be picking up that's really going to be doing anything for your raid. I mean, you could drop another point and have to pick up 1% more crit, but where are you putting the other 2 points at? Again, Nature's Grace is stupid because every spell you have will be on GCD cap, except for Nourish and Healing Touch, but nobody's using Healing Touch. If you're using Healing Touch, we got bigger problems. So I don't see what you're dumping. I don't see what these guys are dumping their points into. I mean, I honestly don't. Unless you're rolling some kind of weird 10-man thing where you take out Wild Growth and take out Revitalize, go 3/3 into Natural Perfection again, and go into 3/3 in Nature's Grace with a tier 9 set. I could see that, but yeah. Anyways, just wanted to get that off my chest and talk about that real quick. So before this turns into another 10-minute video, which it probably will. So, anywho, hopefully y'all have a good one. I'm gonna try to be around more. Just real quick, what's going on with me? School is out. It's the summer. I'm working a lot of overtime, and I am stupid as fuck. So, yes. Anyways, y'all have a good one, and we'll catch you later.